Hello everyone, this is the second game of week 2 of the playoffs between Russia and Central Europe. In the top position is the Red Zerg, we have PaSs from Hungary representing Central Europe, and in the bottom left we have Djem5 representing Team Russia, obviously from Russia. So, Djem5, a little bit of a younger player, up-and-comer, very talented. Where PaSs, he's a bit of an older guy. And really, not quite on the same level as Djem5 here. So I would definitely give Djem5 the advantage. However, the map is Outlier. Outlier can have some pretty silly stuff happen on it. I'm not going to say it's a Zerg-favored map, but it's pretty easy for Protoss to get into a really bad position. Zerg gets a surround, kills everything off. So PaSs will certainly get his opportunities to do the game-winning moves that will give him a 1-0 lead in this series. This is the third set. We skipped. It seems like every nation war has 2 PPs. Coincidentally, the 2 PPs from this nation war were the first 2 sets. So we will have a cast for 3, 4, 5, and the 2v2 today, but 1 and 2 will have to come later. It hasn't been officially announced yet, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be coming up on Friday. So, PaSs throw down a spawning pool, and that drone, nope, there we go. Should be heading over to the natural. Did send it a little bit early, just as a way of distracting the probe. Probe doesn't know that the drone can't throw down the hatchery yet, and well, there's the pylon. That's still going to block it longer than PaSs would really want to. It looks like he's going to immediately go to a third base and expand. Question is, where's that third base going to be? Looks like he's gearing towards bottom right. I did comment on this in Pike's game on this map yesterday. I do think that this base is a lot better of a base. Pretty much the best base that Zerg can take. There are certain strategies where taking one of the semi-islands could be a really interesting strategy for Zerg. But just all around, overall, this is the next spot to put it in. Alright, so PaSs first ling's coming out. We're going to have Djem5 not completely overreact to this. Not falling into the traps of North America, I guess, of throwing down way too many cannons against the early lings. One is a little bit greedy, especially considering that this is not the best of walls. There's an enormous hole over on the right side. There is an enormous hole. I definitely said that. There's a hole on the right side, so one cannon could be a little bit risky, but he might just be good enough until that second cannon gets in here. I think everything's going to work out for him, and this is typically how Protosses are going to play. They can get really greedy with their defenses, try to have the absolute minimum. It's a hallmark of a good player. A hallmark of a good player is when you see them get defenses, and you think there is no way that defense is enough, you need more, but then it always is just enough. Certainly better than the other way around. So, we have 3 hatcheries, and now getting the lair for PaSs. Probably, he's setting himself up to go for a really dangerous mid-game here, because we can see a very strong turtle style here. This is a large choke, but not impossible to SimCity on. You can make a nice SimCity here, and take the free 4th base. And I always feel that going for turtling strategies as Zerg is so strong on 3-player maps, because Protoss can't do a whole lot. On 2-player maps, you can't turtle as well. You don't have another empty base to expand to, and those are always going to be the best options for turtling. In 4-player maps, you can turtle, but then Protoss can take their half of the map, and then you really don't get a huge advantage from turtling. But on 3-player maps, not only do you have the opportunity to turtle, but turtling is going to take you the majority of the map, and Protoss is forced to try to break through your turtle, which can usually lead to some pretty bad consequences for Protoss. And from a viewer perspective, it's not always the most fun thing to see Zerg's turtle, but I do think on 3-player maps it is the correct strategy to go for in a lot of different situations. Alright, so Djem's gonna go for a little bit of one zealot harass here. Sunken Colony almost manages to finish it off, but a couple Zerglings should complete the job there. I'm guessing Djem just wanted to send his first zealot to see if he could get anything there, to force the making of the Sunken Colony if it wasn't already morphing in, instead of just allowing it to be a creep colony. And I've certainly been vocal about not being a fan of early zealot attacks, but early zealots like that, attacks like that, are fine, because you're only sacrificing one zealot. There's a huge difference when it comes to +1 between sacrificing one zealot early game and sacrificing 3 zealots early game. It's not going to work out for him, but that's something that you could net 2 drones and then it would be worth it. I think it's a worthy risk for a Protoss player. Spire just finishes up, and let's see what he's making. He's going to make some Scourge. The first Corsair is getting there a little bit late, so it might... No, I don't think it's going to be able to quite kill this Overlord. It's going to be close. I should be able to just get it here. Right? Right? Yes, just barely getting it. Overlord dying as the Scourge are hatching. But now there are 2 sets of Scourge out, and ooh... Nice maneuver there. Another hallmark of a good player. You don't want to send all your Scourge pursuing the same Corsair. There's just no point to that. And in worst case scenario, all of them detonate. You don't want that. You want to send enough to kill it, just immediately pursuing behind, force it to only have one direction to run, but then use the other pair of Scourge to kind of come around in from the side, give yourself a little bit of different angles. Can make it really hard for the Corsairs to avoid all of that. As we just saw, Djem losing his first Corsair. He's got more on the way. He's got +1, so it looks like he will be continuing the Corsairs into the later parts of the game, but it's a good start. So, interesting, going for +1 air weapons. You do see, you do see Zerg players go for Mutalisks on this map, quite often. A lot of it has to do with the configuration of the map. If you don't have Mutalisks, you oftentimes can't go for the semi-islands. It'd probably be the semi-island. Can't go for the semi-islands quite as easily. And this natural is one of the absolute worst naturals in the modern map pool, because it is so ridiculously exposed. So the Mutalisks should have a pretty good shot to do some damage there. But we'll see. He is getting the +1 armor up from the Mutalisks, which will help, but +1 attack for the Corsairs is coming in too, and if he can keep a good core of Corsairs alive, it's going to make it difficult for the Mutalisks to do any real damage. Because he's going for the Mutalisks, he's going to be investing a lot of gas into that. Wow. He's actually getting a lot more Scourge than I thought he would. He saw the Corsairs coming out. I guess he hasn't quite scouted that it's only 1 gate. I mean, it is 1 gate +1, don't get me wrong. You do want some number of Scourge, but PaSs might be... PaSs might be getting a little bit over heavy in the Scourge numbers. Only because by building this many Scourge, he's really cutting down on his Mutalisk count. I mean, yeah, he has 4 Mutalisks. What are you going to do with 4 Mutalisks? But, on the other hand, by getting all those Scourge, you do really neutralize a lot of the threat of the Corsairs. Obviously, if you can kill them, that's great, but even if you don't, you're forcing them to sit back here. And this is not what Djem wants to be doing with 6 +1 Corsairs. Those are not supposed to be static units. Those are supposed to be very dynamic units going all around the map, murdering Overlords left and right. But that forces Scourge, kind of scaring him off a little bit. Eventually, he will get to a point, assuming no, he's not going to continue to make Corsairs. Presumably, he'll get to a point where he can just start killing the Scourge. But even when you have, no matter how high of a number of Corsairs you have, if you split up your Scourge and attack really nicely, you can still land some good hits. We do have a bunch of Hydralisks now, getting +1 attack for them. We're getting the Lurker upgrade too. Yeah, there we go. And a Queen's Nest. Oh, we are going turtle mode. We are going very hard turtle mode. I'm not sure why we went with these Mutalisks first. I understand the Scourge. The Scourge will help against the Corsairs, but maybe he just decided I didn't want to go Mutalisks anymore after seeing the Corsair numbers. Maybe he was hoping to bait Djem into doing something a little bit different. The only thing he really loses out on this is that, what, 400 gas? 550 if you want to count the armor upgrade. But it's a lot of gas that could have been used on Lurkers. And getting extra Lurkers is obviously going to make the defense a lot stronger. As I said though, by having some kind of Mutalisk presence, he does threaten the Djem. Ooh, Storm going down. The Mutalisks are just all going to die here, didn't they? No, they can't even snipe the High Templar. And actually, somehow, amazingly, none of them die. That's kind of ridiculous. The Mutalisks will live. Barely. Overlords have speed, so they can start to run away. The Lurkers are still morphing in, and ooh, nice. Corsair's getting a little bit too aggressive there, trying to go for kills on the Overlords, and now here comes the attack from the Djem. The Lurkers still need a little bit more time, and now that they're out, they can burrow, and that is going to completely shut down this attack, because I do not think the Djem even has an observer. No, he does not. Cutting it a little bit close to those Lurkers. I mean, he decided to delay his Lurkers a little bit longer than you would normally when going for a turtle style to get those Mutalisks. Almost costed him pretty big, but it's going to work out absolutely fine for him as he's completely safe. And I guess I was talking about it in context of Djem earlier, but it applies to PaSs. If you think something's a little bit too close on the timing, but it turns out that it works out perfectly, it tends to be a hallmark of a good player. And yeah, there's the Overlord. Now, consider how long these Corsairs have been out, and they got the +1. That's terrible kill counts. 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Those Corsairs are doing nothing. And while there hasn't been any real air-to-air conflicts so far, despite the fact that both players have invested pretty significantly in an Air Force, that's coming out in favor of Djem to not be losing Overlords. He doesn't really care if his Scourge and Mutalisks end up not really doing anything meaningful this game. As long as the Corsairs don't do anything meaningful, everything is going to be fine. Interesting decision for a hatchery placement. Actually, very interesting. Only because I would have expected him to go for this back one over here. That one's going to be a lot safer than this one. But if you go for this back one over here, it can be very difficult to get reinforcements to where you need them if you're using that hatchery from larva. The pathfinding on this map is not exactly the greatest. So even if you do mine out the minerals, it can still be a little bit hard. This way, he'll get a base and he'll have the ability to rally units. The issue being that it's just vulnerable. There's no snowball teams there. And there's not a whole lot of Lurkers. There we go, now the Lurkers are coming back, but it's not that many. Well, okay, so 7 is a good number. 6 or 7 is a good number, but they don't have any defensive positioning, but man, those Zealots are clumping up. Oh, is this what Djem wants to be going for right now? Djem, he can win. Man, but was that worth it? I mean, he sacrificed a lot of Zealots to kill like 6 Lurkers? And the base? Maybe. I am overvaluing Zealots a little bit here. Zealots are kind of expendable, and Djem does need to do something to pass here. He can't just consistently sit back. The Defiler doesn't have the energy to do anything. So unfortunately, Defiler's going to go down. Wow, even more Scourge hits. Every time these Corsairs even pretend like they want to be aggressive, they are getting punished for it. Testament to PaSs Scourge usage. It's very easy to not bring them in at the right time and they just die, but he's doing that very well. As this attack is going, he did storm the drone line, got a couple kills, others have evacuated away, and consuming drones now, trying to get enough energy for a swarm, but he just can't. And it looks like he is going to lose his natural here. He really lost his natural only because there was no lurkers here. If he had those lurkers that he used to try to save his 5th over at his natural, he still would have lost the 5th, obviously. Wow. 21? Did he drop somewhere else? He did. Doing a little bit of attack over on this side as well. And man, Djem, PaSs was in such a good position a little while ago, and now he's just absolutely being dismantled here by Djem. It looks like PaSs will barely hold on to this base with the hatcheries and so low health. Evolution Chamber at low health. He did lose this base though, and that is going to be 2 bases completely destroyed. 1 base lost all of its drones. This attack isn't quite over yet. I think they might be able to kill the Sunken Colony. Oh wow, can they kill those Sunken Colonies? No, they can't kill those Sunken Colonies. That's a little bit too ambitious. They can get one. Alright. So we did lose the Queen's Nest over here, but the Queen's Nest, inconsequential at this point, as we already have the Hive, already have the Defiler mount. And now PaSs needs to try to stabilize here. He really needs some Lurkerling Defiler. That's going to be the best defensive option he's got here. At the same time, though, with so little map presence, he can't punish expos like this. He can't punish an expo like this. At least not yet. Alright. No. This isn't... There was one point in the history of Brood War where Devourers were good against Protoss, and it was at a time, like back in 2007, 2008, where Protoss could go heavy Sair Reaver into Carrier. If you're going to be literally getting 2 control groups worth of Corsairs, then yes, then you want some Devourers. But that's the only time you want Devourers in this matchup. Nowadays, Protoss players, you rarely see them with more than a control group. You rarely see them even get up to a control group of Corsairs. Most of them will stop before that, and then you never see more than a control group, so no. Devourers just don't have the use. It's too much money invested for something that doesn't exactly hard counter it. You need Devourers with something else, and Corsairs are so good at the air that you're not even really hard countering it all that well. You're just... you're finding a solution where there are probably better ones somewhere. Anyway, Djem's going pretty well here. 3 attack upgrades. There's the 3, and 1 shield upgrade. Interesting, considering he doesn't have any Archons. That's usually why you get the shield upgrade, because you are thinking you're going to use a Archon heavy army. But Djem, instead with a very high Templar heavy army, he is more unlimited Archons. Not terribly important though. It's better to have the shield, it's better to have the armor upgrade in an army like this, but it's not a huge difference. It's a noticeable one, but not that much of one. This army did came in, shut down that 5th again. It is 4 base versus 4 base. Wow. Wow, that is one of the best plagues I have seen in quite a while. That's huge. How many... I wish I could pause this. Well, I can pause it, but I wish I knew how many units were plagued there. That has to be 2 control groups. That has to be 2 control groups. It's so much damage. It's like 100 damage per hit, and you hit on like 24 guys? Like 2,500 damage with 1 plague? That's amazing. Alright, so Storm going down. Wow, both Storms completely whiffing here, but there we go. You really should just be targeting those Lurkers. Still never getting obs. That is ridiculous. I don't know if he never got obs, but he doesn't have obs now. I haven't seen him with obs around. And here we go, GG for PaSs. Despite the fact that he had 2 Lurkers. And there's no observer. Just can't handle that many units. Good job by Djem. He's going to win game number 1. Sniping obs with Devourers? No. No, Devourers don't one-shot obs. They don't even two-shot obs. You'd need 3 Devourers to be doing that. And it's almost cheaper to just get Mutalisks to be able to do it. But most people snipe obs with either the Scourge or the Hydralisks. That tend to be better options for sniping obs. I could see how Devourers could be really good if you had 3 of them. 3 Devourers will be better than anything else Zerg has at sniping them, but it's not really practical. And at that point, even if you do snipe all the observers, it's not as Toss is completely dead. They have Storm, which kind of takes care of the need for observers, as we saw in that game. If you have a big enough army at that point, you don't exactly need the observers. So, in the bottom right, as the orange Protoss, we have Djem. And that is 5 o'clock. And in the bottom left, as the teal Zerg, we have PaSs. It only just now occurs to me I forgot to get something to eat. That is going to come back to haunt me, but I don't think today's cast is going to be very long. There's only 4 sets. Oh. Okay, I totally missed that. Darn. Well, the point remains then. That just emphasizes the point. Even if he sniped him with Devours instead of those Spore Colonies, the end result was he didn't have a big enough army. I mean, you could argue that maybe it would work in a game where he wasn't so far behind, but not really. Interesting. Djem going for 1 base. A couple options here. He's actually going to scout out his opponent first. And by scouting out his opponent first, it might tempt him to go 2 gate here. He's obviously going to throw down 1 gate now. There we go. There's the first gate. And after scouting his opponent, if he knows his opponent's in cross positions, knows where he is from the beginning, maybe he considers going 2 gate. Just to punish. Obviously, the other option would be going for 1 base tech. This probe getting there early will have the luxury of trying to deny this as long as possible. This becomes very unfortunate for PaSs. He'll have to bring in... Oh. Oops. Oops. Djem messing that up a little bit there. There's really no reason why the probe should be allowing the drone to get that hatchery down when there's only 1. When there's 2, you can make mistakes, but... Alright. So, we have a very late hatchery, and it is going to be versus a 2 gate. PaSs had to be doing that reactionary, realizing that Djem had to be doing that reactionary, realizing that he's going up against a 12 hatch. That spawning pool is going to be so late. That's first zealot's already out, and the spawning pool less than halfway. The Zerglings will be out with a little bit of time. With a little bit of time here. It's not as if the Zealot can kill the hatchery before the Zerglings can get down, but this is going to be a little bit dicey for PaSs. He needs to be really careful that he's not losing too many Zerglings when he goes in for Zealot snipes, and that he is in fact sniping Zealots. He can't afford to be dealing with 6 Zealots. He really needs to be keeping the Zealot number down to a reasonable 3. Ooh. A pylon. He doesn't have a forge, so that has to be for the shield battery. Or ridiculous proxy gateways. But most likely it's going to be for the shield battery here. And indeed it is for the shield battery. So, PaSs, as I said, he needs to get down some Zealots, and he can't afford to lose too many Zerglings as he goes for these snipes. That's not the kind of game he wants. He does not want to be throwing away 4 Lings to not get a Zealot, because he can't afford to be doing that right now. Also going to lose a couple drones. Now the shield battery's done. Got to throw down the creep colony. Only option here. And, ooh, the Zealot's getting a little bit blocked there by the probes. So only one Zealot's attacking the creep colony. Got to get more on that. Alright, and that creep colony, it's not even worth making it into a sunken colony, because it will spawn with no health. Zergling's going in again, but we're reaching a point where Djem has too many Zealots. I said you can't let him get up to 5 or 6. He's at 5 with the shield battery. I think that counts. Alright. So, yeah, lots of drones being pulled. They managed to snipe a couple of probes. Oh, pass. GG from pass, and Djem will take the first and or third set.